At the present moment, no. At the present moment, we should only be concerned with the American people. And we are against any relations, official relations, with the United States of America. Because we know that what we are facing here is actually American imperialism and not only Israel. All the raids we are facing in the Lebanon and before that in Palestine, we know that Israel is actually able to practice such bad deeds because of American backing of Israel. We want this to be very, very, very clear. And we in the PFLP, we always stress that our real enemy is not Israel only and Zionism. It is American imperialism who is backing Israel because Israel is playing a bodyguard for American imperialistic interests in Saudi Arabia and in the Gulf region. That is why we don't want at the present moment, and we refuse any relations with the American government.
Hello, dear listeners, friends, comrades, subjects, citizens, insurgents, fugitives, defectors, dissidents, even the haters and losers. Welcome to Turbulence. My name is the Reverend Dylan F. Saba, Esquire. This is the first and the only time I will be using my full honorifics. And I'm here with my co-host, Seamus Malakafzeli, as well as with our brilliant, and if I might add, extremely beautiful producer, M. Siniza. We're recording from New York City, the center of a world empire that is dying, but so far from dead.
This is a show about the world after October 7th, but more precisely, it's a show about the geopolitical chaos caused by the decline of the American empire.
But before we get into all that, we should start with some introductions. Seamus, why don't you tell us about yourself?
My name is Seamus Malakafzeli. I'm a writer and journalist. I used to be based out of Beirut up until the Israeli invasion, and now, unwillingly, I am in New York City, which I assume many of the lovely people listening right now are also based in. I grew up in an Iranian-Irish household, both of my parents coming from left-wing backgrounds, and as a result, I became acquainted with knowledge about what the West has done abroad, about conceptions of anti-imperialism, very early on. Arguably, maybe too early for a well-adjusted and amiable child.
And I'm Dylan Saba. To get the identity stuff out of the way, I'm what some might call an Oslo baby. I was born in 1993 to a Palestinian father and a Jewish American mother. And God bless them, they kept the newspaper from September of that year of Arafat and Rabin shaking hands. Suffice it to say, I grew up with a pretty lived-out self-conception that I would become a peacemaker and mutual understander. But that would change when I got to college and started actually organizing, and learned that what we were up against wasn't really misunderstanding, but structural power. And in order to change anything, we were going to have to fight. Later, I went to law school, which I cannot recommend, and after graduating, became an eviction defense attorney in New York City. Then, in 2021, I joined Palestine Legal, my current job, where I work in defense of the Palestine Solidarity Movement. And without further ado, our producer, M.
Hi all, I'm M. You'll be hearing from me intermittently, but my focus will be on the production, creative direction, and episode development for the show. I'm an organizer and a PhD candidate of political theory here in New York, and my research focuses on critical adoption studies and the family, in part through the lens of settler colonialism. Being born and sold as a domestic supply adoptee certainly shaped my political subjectivity and my thinking around capitalism and imperialism in major ways. And I hope to share some of my analysis of the political economy of adoption and my critiques of the industry, of which there are many, with you all in the future.
So what is turbulence? In short, turbulence is a way of characterizing the broader political moment that we find ourselves in. Shortly after October 7th, I found myself reaching for metaphors to understand what had happened. And one that I came upon was that we were in an earthquake. Forces that had been building up, pressures that had been amassing over many, many years, were suddenly unleashed.
In the 2 years since October 7th, Israel, with the unmoving assistance of the United States, has blown open nearly every single conception of international law, extinguished nearly every historical precedent, and has created a world that is spiraling towards an uncertain future where nothing is forbidden and everything is permitted, as long as, of course, you are on the side of the world's sole remaining superpower.
The name turbulence comes from complexity theory, describing a chaotic, scrambled state between different ordered systems. More concretely, it's been invoked by writers in the world systems theory tradition, namely Immanuel Wallerstein, to describe what he calls capitalism's terminal crisis. You may have also heard this described as late-stage capitalism. To be clear, we're not saying necessarily that capitalism as such is ending anytime soon. But we are very much at the end of something. The post-1945, the post-World War II interstate compact that was built around the dialectical tension between the concept of multilateralism and the reality of U.S. primacy is ending. U.S. primacy is being upended, and it has now chosen to destroy multilateralism on the way down.
We're now entering a world governed by domination and force, unsheathed from any sort of cover or pretext. Once, the United States desired strong satellite states and regional allies, but now it seems to want to drag down every other state in the world alongside it, seemingly abandoning prospects of regime change with any kind of future in mind. Instead, it prefers this total destruction of governments, the creation of chaos, and the outright extermination of societies.
This portends a lot of bad things for a century that will already be marked by ecological collapse, severe resource competition, and migration flows resulting from that. We can see these looming crises reflected in US politics. An unabashedly ethno-nationalist Republican Party, and a Democratic Party that's committed to basically nothing, except trashing any and all of the social movements that mobilize its base. Both of these parties support Israel's genocide. Both want war with China.
Now, there have been significant sea changes in Western awareness of foreign policy, particularly with Palestine. The majorities of the population in the United States, in the United Kingdom, and even in Germany now see Israel's actions in Gaza as evil, and sympathy for the Palestinian people has never been higher.
But the left is up against some hard limits. At least in the US, we don't have the organizations necessary to meaningfully confront the forces of capital and empire. And as a result, we either keep getting steamrolled or otherwise sucked into the Democratic Party's deflation machine.
And we're going to solve this with a podcast. So why are we making this show? Our hope is that this will help us navigate some of these contradictions. Because these aren't easy questions and they involve confronting difficult conditions, we're committed to giving you an honest assessment even when the outlook is grim.
But we'll also try, at every opportunity, to identify avenues for political action. Personally, I'm not one for hope, but we must firmly reject nihilism.
These episodes are going to take different forms. Some will analyze geopolitical events as they're unfolding, where they'll hopefully help you make sense of the chaotic present we find ourselves in. Others will be more investigative, where we'll aim to shed light on what's happening behind the scenes. We'll also be doing some conceptual deep dives, where we're going to try to explore specific ideas and their evolution across different contexts.
To do all this, we'll frequently be bringing on guests. These will generally be subject matter experts and/or people with direct first-hand experience with the conflicts and issues we're discussing. Seamus and I have our own experiences and expertise, which we will aim to share with you all, but we'll also be learning together. Above all else, we're committed to public pedagogy. We want to make important information and important discussions and debates accessible without ever dumbing them down.
Broadly speaking, there are several principal questions this show will be trying to engage with. Why is America abandoning its self-preservation and hegemony in service of eternal war against the world? Why has the America-Israel murder-suicide pact become so ironclad? What comes next for the global South amid such a chaotic period? How do we navigate the crumbling of an empire, and in particular, how can we build a left in the imperial core that meets this moment?
We can't promise to come up with firm answers, but the hope is that if we face up to these challenges, we can make space for genuinely productive politics instead of chasing sugar highs, which has become an irresistible temptation for much of the left over the past several decades. We've been working hard on this show and are really excited to share it with you. We'll be hosting the show using Substack, and you can find us there at substack.com/@turbulencepod. But we're also asking for your help. We're independent, which means ad-free and listener-funded.
It takes a lot of hours to produce a show like this, and your support will allow us to make episodes that are thoughtful, well-researched, and worth your time.
Become a supporter for $5 a month and access the bonus feed and chat community, news roundup bonus episodes. That's where we'll be a bit more candid and give our commentary on the week's headlines. You'll also hear things such as Seamus's lauded Moshe Dayan impression, which I have promised him will stay behind the paywall. It's absolutely fantastic, and you won't want to miss it. Also, paid subscribers will have access to monthly live streams with us and potentially including special guests, and will be automatically entered into our book giveaways. We are really doing a ton for our paid subscribers here. I think we should cut back.
No, they deserve everything. And of course, if you're able to chip in a bit more, you can join our Solidarity tier, an open contribution that helps sustain the show with all of these same wonderful benefits. The world is a mess, and everything's about to get so much worse. We hope you'll join us.
Seamus's lauded Hebrew impression.
No, cut that. Cut it. No. I don't have a Hebrew impression.
I promise.
I don't.
It'll stay behind the paywall, Seamus.
No, cut. No, you cannot. No, cut. No, redo that. No. I have no Hebrew impression. I'm not making fun of the Jewish people. No.
Okay.
No.